I'm Brandon Minga. I'm a local Milwaukee artist, multidisciplinary, do a lot of fun stuff, and my current focus is sculpture. So what I'm going to try and build for you today is a Christmas ornament, and I'm going to use some shards of glass, like these. So I've got a bunch of random things around here, so like these push pins from this building, which we're in is an old battery factory, so I had a bunch of random stuff laying around from all these machines. So I get to collect this stuff for free, which is always nice. And then I take things like this, and I just give it a tug right here, and we can bend them, make them into shapes. But for this one, I want to keep them more angular and try to make a torch with this glass. So I'm going to take this guy, try and get this cut piece of tube that I did, try and get that level. Get this glass in here, kind of pinch it so it's standing upright. So we got that going. Then I found these in my buckets of madness back there, so I'm gonna try and use these. And we're gonna try and pressure set this stone in here because that's gonna be easier than drilling into it. If we try and drill into it, it's probably gonna crack this glass even more. That's not really the luck or the vibe.
Be sure to read and follow all labels and the owner's manual.
Hopefully I can do this and not knock the thing over. That would be nice. Try not to burn through this. Okay, I think we got that one. Try another one. And I'm doing this because these are kind of weird, and I think that works. The weirder the better. And that's kind of my style. Thinking 3 is good. Rule of odds, that's always good. Yeah, that's perfect. Get them unstuck here. So that was the goal. So we were trying to get that so that would hold this stone without, very much mechanics, because now it's nice and dainty and delicate. And that's really kind of the thing we're after, is making it look like it could fly away, that it could function. And you want something nice when you're talking about like a tree ornament. And we're hoping that this will be a crown on top of the tree. And I'll show you how we're gonna get there. I think I want to flip this over, and I'm going to do that so that I can access the bottom of this piece and connect my gears. So I have this random cart of madness. I have a bunch of oddities, and I like to use all these things. So bearings from old drills or tires or things like that. And I'm just going to tack it, because we can always move it around a little with a small tack. So this is probably the trickiest part. So first tack in place, that'll make this a little easier. Trying to make sure that these rings are also parallel so it looks intentional. So I'm gonna keep adding some rods here and make it look like it's supporting this gem. Give it that torch look. So we're shaping up. Looking pretty good. So I'm gonna add 2 more rods, and I'm probably gonna cut these wires off because they're gonna get in my way. But then we'll figure out a way to maybe intentionally put some beads on there so it looks like these have like and are holding this gem in place. I like to make sound effects when I'm doing this. It's kind of like being a kid, and it's like if you can't make sound effects and make it function and work, then maybe it's not that cool. Yeah, shaping up. It's kind of the best thing about making art is you never really know, or you kind of try to predict what it's going to look like or plan for it. Sometimes it's very intentionally designed, but in this case, like we talked about earlier, it's organic. So we're just winging it and having some fun. So what I want to do is just quickly chat about when you're making a sculpture, you definitely want to prop it up, take a step back, look at it from 360 degrees. That's really the most important part about sculpture in general. We want to make sure that we're addressing any weirdness from really any angles. I think we're in a good spot. I think I'm going to lay some final welds here on these pins, and then I'm going to start laying in some more detail with whatever who's it, what's it's these things are. Like we said earlier, you got to trust the process. All right. So now I'm going to lay in these, and I'm going to have to be pretty delicate with this. So I'm really just trying to tack around the outside and use that thicker material to my advantage and just slightly come over. So now remember the rule of odds. So meaning I have our 4 thicker black rods here, but I'm adding 3 of these tinier pieces because that's just a nice detail, and it keeps your eye moving around the piece. It's always nice when you get in a nice little rhythm. Everything just starts flowing nicely. All right, so using that thicker material to our advantage, we're able to get that small rod in there and make it stick without burning all the way through it. We were talking about keeping this simple, but I like to make things complicated. I'm still having a good time, but this is just the way I do it. Yeah, and sometimes you get these ideas on the fly and you got to run with them. I saw the opportunity to use these who's it, what's it's things, and that's what we're gonna do. Now remember, we want to keep hitting that thicker material first and just slightly bringing it over. There it is, got it. Success, there we go. So I'm pulsing like that because you're less likely to burn through this material if you're doing it that way versus trying to lay down this longer weld on this thinner material. I mean, I suppose you could bend down and adjust your settings too, but nobody's got time for that. All right, we're still just kind of tacking everything just lightly, and then once we decide that this is the way we want it, then we'll go back in, because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than when you tack everything together and you got to take it apart and rebuild it. So this way we can just kind of snap things off nice and easy, replace them if necessary without totally destroying the piece. All right, I've only got a couple more of these things to put on, then we can get back to our, well, not get back to it, but we can start on that base. You kind of try to do, or I do, on a circular piece, have the welds across from each other so that it looks like it makes sense. It's like a active design choice. All right, so now that we've got all our little doodads on there, we've got a mess here to clean up. So we got to take care of that. That's not really going to work if we're trying to put that on a tree, you know? So we're going to cut those off, even it out, and then start working on our base. Yeah, that's actually pretty nice. It fills in that bottom area pretty nicely. So now we're going to try and figure out how to get this on there. You know, sometimes I think I make things too complicated, but I do really like that bearing on there. So I think we have to put it on. So I like to have a lot of cutoffs around, and I save them all, as you can see. A lot of times what that does is gives you an opportunity to put things upside down. So now I think I have a better angle of attack here, because we've got a really nice decoration that's traveling around with these bearings. Kind of matches our top here. And if we can help it, I'm going to try and hide these welds at least some of them on the inside. There we go. Now I'm going to take a step back, as we were talking about earlier. I want to make sure that we're in a good spot here. That's pretty good. So I'm using that thicker material to my advantage again. I'm doing that so that the bearing still rotates, because if you get it too hot, it's going to burn up all the oil inside and seize. And so this will be a nice story. You know, not a necessary thing, but people buy the story, not necessarily the piece. We make active design choices and go with your gut. So now for our spring. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. So now I'm gonna go ahead and finish these welds on the outside. I almost thought for a second that this was also gonna spin, but oh snap, it does. That is a nice, happy accident. Now I'm gonna finish these welds here, and hopefully it'll still continue to spin. Now again, I'm not getting too crazy. This isn't, you know, it doesn't have to be super structural. It's just got to stay together. So I'm just getting it good enough so that I'm making good penetration, but I'm not burning stuff. Yeah, that's going to do it. There's those cutoffs again. This is actually going to give me a nice straight to work with, and it's also going to keep this spring from totally jumping around on me. Yeah, there we go. So there we have it. Your torch, kryptonite, crazy wine opener, tree topper.